Prince Philip has spent his entire adult life with his hands behind his back, in the shadow of his wife, pretending to be interested in the scout hut she's opening. Occasionally he would go abroad, but instead of sitting on a beach with a pina colada, he was made to wear a stupid hat and spend the day watching tribesmen dance around a fire. The Queen's husband Prince Philip, who retired from public duties in August before and during a stuffy dinner with a man with egg on his shoulders. And how has he been rewarded? Well, occasionally, he'd say something that was deemed inappropriate or offensive. And then he'd be put on the nation's naughty step for a week or two. Yes, I dare say he's never had to stare at a bank statement wondering how he's going to pay for the groceries next week. Matt Holyoke camera pressed the official portrait of the Queen and Prince Philip to celebrate their 70th wedding anniversary, and he sure as hell doesn't have to spend all day on a bus because he can't afford to heat his palace and it's therefore the only way to stay warm. But my God, he's paid for his privilege in spades, with decade after decade of loyal service to a country that, when all is said and done, isn't even his. Earlier this year he gave up his public duties, and the last time we saw him, at the Remembrance Sunday parade in Whitehall, it was easy to see why. He's 96 years old and so frail he can barely stand anymore. He's earned his retirement. Matt Smith as Prince Philip and Claire Foy as the Queen in Netflix series The Crown, but I just hope he isn't spending it watching Netflix. I didn't watch the first series of The Crown, but I have been watching the second and, gulp, it didn't just allude to the Duke's alleged infidelity. It basically pointed the finger and screamed shagger. Now, for all I know, Phil the Greek had a 40-year affair with Gloria Hunniford. Maybe he and Lady Porchester were playing tonsil hockey most nights behind their drapes. Maybe that's how he coped with the stresses of earning a living, by standing around with his hands behind his back, pretending to be interested in the musings of bores. Is it any of our business though? Wedding day. Netflix drama The Crown. Well, I suppose that since he's married to the head of state, and because we pay his wages, it is. But I can't help wondering, is it our business now? Couldn't the accusations just wait a little while longer? I love The Crown. It's well made, beautifully written, and Claire Foy is a very watchable actress. The Queen and Prince Philip still enjoy laughing together, but some of my viewing pleasure is, I admit, spoiled by the knowledge that somewhere out there, an elderly man and a little old lady are having their marriage picked apart just so that we have something better to watch than a footballer's wife in a jungle or a dog that can do card tricks. I think it should all be discussed. I think the show should be made. But I just wish that it had all been done 10 years later. Tom Watson, who is deputy leader of the Labour Party, is always wrong about everything. And this week he's been wrong about robots. No one has yet made a robot that can even walk up a flight of stairs, or cook an egg. But he reckons they're coming, and we should embrace the fact that, one day, we will be sacked and replaced by Wall. It's made me think. If we ever get this Brexit lark off the ground, and are able to make our own laws, would it not be a good idea to make it illegal, punishable by life in prison, to be Tom Watson? Poohing vicar. His kids' stuffed shoppers at a branch of Fenwick in Kent were left fuming by a Christmas card showing a vicar on a loo. He is seen looking between his legs into the bog. This greetings card caused a stir, but isn't it funny? And there is caption saying holy S. One man said the card might be amusing in the right context, but not in a shop full of families and small children. Really? Because poo jokes, in my experience, are not remotely funny to anyone except small children. Selling a flight of fancy. We read yesterday about an American company that, finally, has developed a flying car. It says the £90,000 three-wheeler has seating for two, a propeller on the back and wings which fold into cubby holes under the doors. Spectacular. Can a flying car finally become reality? So the idea is that you drive along until you get to a jam, and then, instead of sitting there, Fuming? You take off and fly over all the traffic. But hang on a minute. Why would you ever drive somewhere on the road if your car could fly? And if you are going to fly everywhere, what's wrong with using a plane? Here's the Sansom switchblade on there. Road, there's another issue, too. The car needs an airfield or 1,100 feet of empty, straight road to reach its takeoff speed of 100 miles per hour, and if you did manage to find a road like that, how will the police react when you say you were doing 100 because you wanted to take off? Oh, that's alright, sir. I don't think so. Dozy Parkers, could grid girls be no more? At long last, Formula One chiefs have started to wonder whether it's a good idea in this day and age to have pretty girls in short skirts prancing about on the grid before a race. It's not like they're twirling batons or anything complicated. They're just standing there, being eye candy, and holding up a board so the drivers know where to park. However, early reports say that 60% of those who have expressed a view reckon they should stay. Others reckon that maybe there should be grid boys as well, in tight, golden shorts perhaps. I'm not sure that'd work either. So I've come up with a better idea. Ask the drivers to find their parking spaces on their own. Everyone else in the world manages it, so why can't they? Everyone could see that the God-bothering lunatic, Roy Moore, who stood on the Republican ticket in the Alabama election this week, was going to lose. And he did. Thank God. Figures reveal that white people liked their cut of his jib a whole lot more than black people. And that 97% of black women voted Democrat. Which is fine, but it means that 3% voted for the idiot. What were they thinking of? It'd like a holiday in a box, please. When the boss of Britain's oldest caravan manufacturer went for his interview, he was told the company was in the business of making dreams come true. It made me laugh, because most of the people I've ever met dream of taking their holidays on sun-kissed beaches in the Caribbean, or among the animals on a vast African game reserve. Surely towing caravans around on the road is nobody's idea of fun. In fact, I've never met anyone who said my dream is to sit in a small metal box, in the rain, in a field for 2 weeks of the year. Oh, and on the way I want to inconvenience as many other road users as possible by driving very slowly and never pulling over to let someone past. It turns out, however, that I'm wrong. Actually, business is booming for caravan salesmen in wishing you a less than perfect Christmas. But it's not what you think. Meghan Markle is there, fast-track royal to cheer up Britain this Christmas after being defeated by her own MPs. Theresa May must now deal with grief. Cabinet needs to come together and hit the sweet spot on trade deal. Now we should negotiate a free trade deal in exchange for our divorce settlement. We cannot allow safe spaces for far-right terrorists, and we need to combat it. Let's welcome President Trump. He's not as bad as Jacob Zuma or Hillary Clinton. Smug Tory rebels should be deselected for betraying both their PM and country. At least Gemma and Gore, 'cause strictly romance won't wreck any marriages. Thousands obviously do dream of being selfish, wet and miserable because caravan sales are booming. The most recent figures